All right. We will now call the meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Ader.
Here.
Anarino.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Shubai.
Here.
Khan.
Here.
Bagman.
Here.
Hunt. Will come late.
Almost here.
All right. The mission statement of District 15, by leveraging strengths and providing high-quality support, we will honor our diverse learners in reaching their full potential. All right, so today's meeting is to select the firm that will support District 15 in finding our next superintendent. So this is an important decision tonight, and look forward to hearing from our selected firms. All right. Okay, any green sheets? Hello. Are you sure? Okay.
You got the floor all to yourself, man. You got the whole thing.
He wants to talk about volleyball.
There we go. All right, so we can skip over public comment. Wonderful. All right, so we will start with our presentations for the evening, and we will start with student-centered services.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dawn Green, and I'm here representing Student-Centered Services, and we really appreciate you inviting us in to present this evening, the opportunity to present to you this evening. A little bit about myself as one of the partners of Student-Centered Services. Most of my career I was in Bloomington Normal, Central Illinois, but when I became a superintendent in 2010, I started halfway up north. I was in Salmonock, if you've ever heard of that, by Sandwich.
Yes.
Yorkville,
lovely.
Plano, you know, right there on
Sandwich
Route
is
34. It was a beautiful place to be. And then I finished in Palos Heights in the Orland Park area and moved my family up to New Lenox. So of our 6 kids, our last 2 went to the Lincoln Way schools up there in New Lenox. After I retired, I, the need in education, right? You can't get out. It's been now 7 years and still very active. But I worked in Killdeer, I worked in LaGrange, I worked for a whole year in Skokie after retirement. So as I'm driving up here, I'm like, oh, everything's familiar to me. I now live outside of Peoria in Dunlap, because you know what? Our first grandchild was born a few years back. She's now 6. So, and since then we now have 5 grandchildren. So they're coming fast and furious, and we're in the right place. I've always been very active. I followed a superintendent who was very active in organizations, and I did that myself. So as a partner here, part of the reason why I lead the pillar for searches is I was on the board for Suburban Superintendents Association. I'm still actively involved in Urban Superintendents Organization. Good friends with the Peoria District 150 superintendent. She got me in that. I feel like even though I'm in Central Illinois, I have a very broad reach, and I'm happy to be up here in Palatine. Actually, for a number of years when we lived up here, my husband worked in the district prior to Dr. Hines coming. And I'll let Dr. Coleman introduce herself.
Well, I'm a more suburban city girl, but I am currently the superintendent of Golf School District 67 in Morton Grove. And I am a bilingual special ed teacher by trade. So that's my passion. That's what I set out to do as a teacher. And I have over 20 years experience as an administrator in everything from a dean to a principal to special ed administrator, assistant superintendent, and now a superintendent. I have expertise in special education and audits, and I do that for other school districts around as well. And I'm a certified leadership coach as well. And I currently support principals and other superintendents in their leadership journey. I am bilingual in Spanish. Fun fact, my husband and I own a second home in Medellin, Colombia. So you can make all your narco comments if you want. But it's a beautiful, beautiful country. South America is a beautiful place to be. The language, the culture, the people, that's kind of where we hope to spend our winters and get away from all this like Chicago snow. as I get close to retirement. I am following Lori. Next year will be my last year as superintendent, and I'm very excited to do this type of work because there has been a public assault on public education, and it is important that school boards and administrators and districts have support outside that can help them not only find the right people, but also to support them in any of the services that they need, be them financial, special education, strategic planning, whatever it is. And so I have a real passion for that. So while I am edging towards that retirement, I'm really excited to be part of this company because of the like-minded individuals I have worked with all over the state to be able to help match superintendents with districts. And that is the most important job that you have, is to hire the next superintendent. And we are excited to be a part of that, to help you to do that.
Hi, Mrs. Hunt. I'm going to guess.
Yeah. Oh,
All right, you guys want to keep?
Okay,
sorry. Am I doing that?
no.
There we go.
And our third partner is Dr. Kristen Humphreys. He's currently the superintendent of East Moline School District, a large, diverse school district in the Rock Island, Moline, Quad Cities area. He is actually a board member for AASA, which is the National Organization for School Superintendents, and he is presenting out of state right now. I don't want to say Arizona because it's probably nice and warm there and not quite so good here. But Kristen and I have actually done several searches together with this company. I just met him when the company was started a few years ago. I'll go ahead and turn to a little bit about our company and why we started and why we're here today. We started with 15 partners. We've now added, I don't know, over 15 or so associates to the company. So we are strong. We have people clear north in Lake and Cook counties. I'm about the only person in Central Illinois. We have a few people in Southern Illinois. We have people in DuPage. So we feel that we are comfortable all over the state. And we just saw the need as superintendents. So about half of us are retired and about half are still sitting soups. Or business managers, right. We do have one of the people, she ended up being a superintendent her last few years, but she was the head of Illinois Association of School Business Officials. She does a lot for our company through that organization. But we are active. Like I said, you really can't. I was talking to Dr. Hines about what are you going to do in retirement? I mean, there will be so many opportunities. There's just, the need is so great. And that we're struggling to find teachers. We're struggling to find, leaders of any kind for schools. So thank you for the job you're doing being here tonight. So we decided to start this company to kind of fill that gap. So we do strategic planning. Searches, it's hard to get into the search. We've gotten the opportunity. We just got going last, it was a year this summer. So it's just been about a year and a half. We do audits. We have done many things related to financial planning. So we just do a variety of things. We've tried to fill that gap for schools because we know ourselves as superintendents that the need is there. A little bit about our process. We will work for you, right? It's not just our process and this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to run the search how you want the search to be run. We'll help, as much as you want us to. I think I just finished the Rochester, if you know where that's at. It's outside of Springfield. Just did their search. Unit district, gone through some tough times. And we just finished that. The board president and I were, we're besties now. She's actually getting married and leaving the board, and I feel like I'm probably going to be invited there. But our process is one in which we want to include all the people that you want us to include. Right? We bring this experience with us, working with boards of education, working with your current superintendent, and then our network is far and wide. We will be seeking input from our community, your community members. I think you've already started that through through a survey, but we'll help, analyze those results and help you identify that profile, right? Those characteristics that you want your next superintendent to have. We will meet with whatever groups that you determine you would like us to meet with, right? And have those forums, those opportunities for them to get to have a say in what's important to them. Clear communication process, like I said. However, if you want it to be through Dr. Hines, if you want it to be with the board president or whomever you choose, that communication will be clear and all the time, however you need me. I am one of those people who is always looking at that, which right now I have set to look at the time so that we don't go over. We know that this is an important job, and we're here to help and support you in doing that job. Our process, thank you. I have a partner here that's already turning it. So it includes 6 steps. The initial board work is us talking to you, doing one-on-one interviews with you, and anybody else who you want us to interview. In some other ones I've done some district office personnel, whoever you want us to interview one-on-one, and then also those community engagement, which would be the second part of the process. Recruitment and screening process, selection, transition service, coaching, and mentoring. So we're going to talk about each of those as we move through our slides. So this first one is really your timeline, right? Based on what we've been able to see from your website and, try to do our homework a little bit about this. We know that we will have to move quickly, and we've already started doing that. Us, along with Kristen, have already started reaching out to people. Again, it doesn't matter whether, we're chosen as your search company. We want the best for your district. We know this district, and we know people out there that will be great candidates for you. So the initial board work would be now in November. I know we're into November. I get that. I'm going to Triple I. Susan's going to Triple I. I mean, we will be there. We will be, meeting and greeting all the people there. Kristen's doing that right now at AASA, talking about Palatine 15. So that's right now, and then we'll go through the timeline as we present each of our slides. Oops.
Just kidding. Okay.
Sorry.
All right, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
did we both push it?
We did.
Sorry.
So getting stakeholder and community input is really critical in making sure you have a transparent process where you can get feedback from those in your community. I know you have had done some of our work for us, so thank you, with your survey. And along with that, as Dawn mentioned, we will be having one-on-ones with you to be able to identify certain characteristics, experiences, and qualities that for you are really important that you want us to look for. In addition to that, we will be having these listening sessions with, we will recommend that to you, and then you can go ahead and tell us with your staff, with community members, with support staff, and your cabinet as well. You have a very large district, and there are many, many opinions. And our job is to sift through that and to create themes and trends that will help you to determine what is best for your district. And then together we will create this leadership profile that matches the unique needs of District 15. And with that leadership profile, that is what we will measure all candidates against. Because we understand that people have already been applying, and there's a lot of chatter out there about Lori's retirement in District 15. We will also have a booth at Triple I for Student Center Services, and that's how we do some of our one-to-ones. And again, of course, we would love to be chosen, but it is important to us as public educators that we are supporting finding the right person to support this district. Just like when I retire, I want that same for my district as well. We are committed to this work, and that is why we have already started reaching out to people and directing them to your website to start taking a look at that application process. I am happy to do Spanish translation community service or not community service, that would be sad. Community engagement with some of your community. I know there are over 80 languages here, so we can work to talk about how might we best be able to get their input. Again, the survey might have been the best way, but to talk about who are those important groups, your BPAC folks, your PTA, your foundation, like who all is involved. And those are all critical cogs in the wheel that make District 15 run. And then you need a leader that then can continuously make that wheel turn, right? And so we are very committed to doing that for you.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't need to review your district mission, but I did, your strategic plan is really inspiring. And, we understand your community. There's 35 square miles. I was a teacher in District 214, so I am very well aware of, the feeder districts and how you guys work with your sender high schools, both 211 and 214. And I think what to me stuck out the most, oh, good Lord, I'm sorry, getting a little jumpy, is your portrait of a graduate. I think I have done that work myself as being part of a unit district and being part of a high school district. And now as a K-8 superintendent, I was like, oh man, we should do that. What I think is so unique about the work that you did towards that is that our job as superintendents of elementary districts does not end when they take that not diploma, certificate of completion across the stage. It is that we have prepared them for high school and beyond. And I think being able to align your standards, your curriculum, your social emotional needs, K-12, is really going to set you apart and set your graduates apart from being more successful in their high school and beyond. It starts at kindergarten and working with partners in high school or preschool, really, your earliest learners. And that's where it begins. And to be able to have relationships, I know the superintendents of those districts, to be able to have those relationships so that they understand, right? It's not just about 8th grade algebra, right? It's about how are we helping to support our earliest learners with those early literacy skills, those early math skills, so that they can become these fantastic little humans that will grow into socially conscious and global citizens. And so we are very excited to see that work being done here and to help find a leader that has those same experiences and understanding. Because, again, it is unusual for a K district to have a portrait of a graduate, to do the work that you do. And it's important that when we work with you to help find someone who has that vision and that global understanding of what it takes to get through a 3-year-old through age 22, if that's where your education path leads you. And so we're really excited to work with you on that. We think that you deserve an experienced, unifying, equity-focused leader who is a skilled communicator, a strong operational manager. You guys got a lot going on with hammers and nails, and a passionate advocate for students and staff. And so, again, I think looking at your strategic plan and really focusing on some of this hard work you've done. I know you have dual language programs. My kids were in a dual language program as well, and how important that is and how hard it is to find teachers and staff and to promote that second language learning, and really that which helps to then really embed your community and be more inclusive of cultures and languages. And so having those unique facets of your district sets you apart, which is why everyone's looking at District 15 right now. We will not have a shortage of candidates, I can promise you that. But what we will need to do is to sift through and look at that profile and measure those candidates against that have these experiences, skills, and characteristics to continue the great work that Dr. Hines has done and that you all have done as a school board. And we're very excited about helping you with that work. So how will we recruit? Oh, it's already there. As we said, we are members of all the organizations. I happen to be the vice chair of EdRed. We represent over 90 school districts in northern Illinois, in Cook and Lake County, and parts of McHenry County as well. We have a wide network. I know all of the superintendents. And believe you me, people are like, what's going on over in 15? Huh? I see that's posted, right? It is a place where people want to be. So again, it is not about you will get candidates, but it is the careful, articulated process of sifting through those candidates to make sure that they are matching the needs that you have. Again, we have, as you will hear from all of your firms, we have networks with all of the organizations, IASA, AASA, EdRed. One of our partners is the executive director of LUDA, the Large Unit School District Association in Illinois. So we have that reach, and that we will be using that reach. And when we talk about marketing and going into social media and reaching out to the Latino Administrators Association and BIPOC and other organizations that might be a little smaller from the national level, but where we know that diverse candidates go to get support and for professional development. And then we're going to reach out to those people. You know, you work very closely with Christina Sanchez Lopez. She and I used to teach together. We've worked really closely together. So we have individual connections with people that will help to increase your candidate pool, so that, you know, our hope is that your job is really, really hard to find.
I want you guys to move through your process.
Yep.
The board has questions for you
Okay.
too.
Okay.
okay.
So the second part in the process would be stakeholder feedback. We kind of mentioned that. We anticipate that would be November, December timeline based on, I guess, just what we've seen out there. So, you know, those groups will be here, however many days or the time frame that you want us to be here. It will probably be all three of us, hopefully, that we could interview your focus groups. The value of that feedback, as you know, everybody wants to have a say. It's your job, but you represent all of your constituents, right? So you want to be able to say to them, like, we want to hear your voice, right? However that comes about, whether it's through the survey or from these focus groups or, you know, one-on-one conversations, whatever it happens to be. So we'll take our direction from you, but we know how valuable this is. Our third step in the process.
Yes, so, and I alluded to that already. So when we talk about recruiting and screening, so we talked about how we would recruit and how we have started that already. Our screening, the screening is critical, right? We don't want to waste anybody's time. So we do a thorough review of all documents that will be given to us. We have a comprehensive background search that includes using AI to sift through internet and social media presence of, so no surprises with some of our candidates, so that we can get a better picture and make sure that the candidates we are choosing embody the mission and vision of District 15. We'll select a pool to interview. We'll narrow that down, bring you a slate of 4 to 6, and then once you are satisfied with that slate, then we will begin scheduling and working on interviews with the board. Again, using that leadership profile from all of your data to measure our candidates against that.
So the next,
Right.
oops, maybe I, okay.
Keep going. Yep. One more.
Sorry. Okay, so the selection process, you know, you're going to choose them, right? You're eventually going to decide, but we're going to bring you, you know, those best candidates, however many you want, as Dr. Coleman mentioned here, however many you say, that's how many we'll bring you. Hopefully, we're making your job very, very difficult, and you say, okay, well, we want to bring them all back for a second interview. Haha, probably not. I know how difficult it is to find the time for all of you to meet, you know, together. But for that process, we're here to help. We're not just like bringing you the candidates. Here you go. Now it's you. No, whatever. We will customize the questions for, you know, based on what you need in your district, right? We've done that already in any searches that we've done. We have taken our list of questions and, you know, made them align with what you're actually looking for. That's our goal, is to give you whatever you need, whether it's first round, second round, both, you know, whatever you need us to do. And then that next step in the process is transition.
So now you've selected a candidate. Yay! However, there's still work to be done. You have to negotiate a contract. You have to come to terms. We have to talk to the other candidates. So this part of the process is really, really important, because it's not over just because you have chosen someone. You still need to create that partnership. So what we will do is to help that process by providing at your discretion. We will help to we will provide contract and negotiations and coaching. We will be the conduit between you and the candidate. We will be working to ensure that there is a final contract signed before we notify any other applicants. We are going to work with you in preparing a final press release. We, in fact, Dawn just
Yeah.
did that last week for a search that she was doing. We will push out all the announcements and the press releases to social media because people should be excited about who the next superintendent, I mean, that will be sad because Lori's not here, but also very excited about who this next person will be. And we want to shine a light on this amazing district. And part of that is by sharing who this great new leader that you have chosen will be. In addition to that, we offer this service, whether or, it is up to you, but we can help you to work with your legal counsel to help design performance goals aligned to your strategic plan that can also be embedded into the contract. For example, in my contract with my board, I have performance goals that are listed in my contract that I have to create that meet certain standards. So we can help you do that if you would like and help to provide that support to you so that when you are completing this process and you're getting all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, that you come out with a document and with a plan and a framework for your next superintendent of how you're going to support them and the expectations you will have for them moving forward, and to make sure that those performance goals are aligned to your strategic plan, as well as to the initiatives that you guys are working for.
And last but not least is we don't just leave you there, right? Our success is your success, is the candidate that you choose. So I put, starting in February, I mean, as soon as you've named your candidate, I can guarantee you we will start mentoring and coaching. And I know Lori will continue to do that as well. But we have a lot of resources and we do it now. I can tell you, our business official has done all kinds of things. I've coached the last couple of years with people. I mean, you just, to have that comfort level. Susan's a certified coach and she lives close by, so we're here to help that person be successful because that success, shines back on us. And so we want it to all work out.
And coaching and mentoring doesn't mean that you're going to get some inexperienced person who doesn't know what they're doing. I have a coach. I've been doing this for a while. I have a coach. Why? Because it's a thought partner. Being a superintendent's a very lonely job, if Lori hasn't shared that with you already. And to be able to have a thought partner who you can bounce ideas off of and who can maybe share some of your experiences, regardless of the experience that someone's going to come in with, I think I'm so sorry. I feel like you're.
Oh, no. I see you.
Okay. And that is something that I will be the coach for this process if we are selected and if you, if that is the route you want to go. Anyway, I'm so sorry because we're jabber jabbers. So.
All right, I think it would be
Any
great.
questions?
Yes.
We only have about 2 minutes, so we're probably only going to get to maybe one question. So Zubair, do you want to ask our first question? Or do you have it handy? If not, I can ask it.
I have it right here.
In his little.
He had one job. No, I'm kidding.
I'm just clued.
I'm kidding,
I was
Zubair. I know you have more. It was a big responsibility. I
Yeah.
know.
He's got it. He's out.
Okay, so this is the question. Okay. If you could name only one thing that truly differentiates you from other search firms, what would it be?
I would say that we are hungry. That
Yeah.
we have drive.
That's the word I was going to use, hungry.
We are new to this particular area and new to this field, although not new in
The
our
name of our
experiences.
company is new, right?
Right.
Under
Not the people
SES,
in
we
it.
don't have a lot of business, but I worked for a previous company and have several searches. Did Glen Ellen, East Main, Belvedere, just to name a few. And then most recently under a company, I've been a part of all of those. Krista and I both have. So, and I know Susan was involved in one before. But our partners, guys, we're talking about all these superintendents who have done countless assistant soups, business managers, all of those. We have the connections, we have the resources, and I would say we will do a fantastic, we are hungry to do a fantastic job for you.
And I will also say, because we are newer, we are flexible in the plan that can be customized to you. That is not a boilerplate, this is how we do a search firm.
Yeah.
Because we've done 100 searches, and this is what we do, and this is what we always do. And we are not that group, we are not that firm. We customize our services to the individual needs of you. And since we do not have 100 searches under our belt, we can provide that to you so that you feel like you can also help drive this process to meet your needs.
Awesome. Okay, last question, if we can be brief, because I know we're wrapping up on time. What specific strategies do you use to bring forward high-performing candidates, ideally seated superintendents who may not actively be looking? You mentioned being able to, that we're going to have a popular application pool, but how does the process work for you to actually recruit people who are successfully seated?
We've already
and-
started. We've already
Okay.
started. We've started talking to people. I know all three of us on the committee have. We talked at our partners meeting and our associates meeting the other night about it already. We'll talk to people one-on-one. We'll reach out. We're going to know right away what those qualities are that you're looking for, right? If you need somebody with vast financial experience because they're going to have to, look at finances, then we're going to gravitate towards those types of people. We're going to look at people that have had some of those experiences already. So that's how we would do that. We will,
And-
trust me, that's what we did with this last search. Rochester does not have a good reputation. Just they've had some problems and been written up in the Springfield area. So it was tough to get candidates. And so the other guy and myself were constantly just making calls to people that we think would be the perfect fit for them. And we were calling, we were talking them through what it would look like, how it would be. I think we would do the same thing, like.
I know a lot of
they want-
people. I mean, again, both through my organizations that I lead and through I have worked all over Lake County and Cook County. So personally for me up here, my depth is wide and my reach is far and wide. And because of those relationships that I have, because I'm a current sitting superintendent, it is easy for me to call someone and say, hey, I know you've been here a few years, but have you thought about Palatine? Which is what I did earlier today. I said, hey, this is open. I don't know if it's open. I don't know if you know about it. But a lot of it is, it's not just the marketing and like putting it on this website and that website. It is the personal connections that I have, that Dawn has, that our entire firm has, to reach out to prospective candidates, because we are going to steal them from another job, right? Unless, you fall in love with someone who maybe is not have superintendent experience, but assuming that a seated superintendent is something that's important to you, like that's our job, to pull them away and to be like, this is why you should take this next step. This is a great district. It's a big step for someone. And we know those people in those littler districts who are ready maybe for that next step, or who are in medium-sized districts. And so that is our promise to you. That's what sets us apart with our hunger and our drive. It's not just like the same old candidates that, apply to everything. It's us making those personal connections that we already have, to steal them away from where they are, so that.
Where they're already doing a good job, hopefully.
Yeah.
They can do a good job for you. Continue with Dr. Hines.
Wonderful. All right,
All right,
thank you
thank
so
you both.
much
Thank you
for
so
the
much.
materials.
It was a pleasure.
and the
Allowing us to
So,
talk.
presentation.
before we
Thank you.
leave, and I'm just going to hand this out. So this is just an example of what our pamphlet would be. Again, you kind of already started with your, the application's already open, right? The search is already kind of done. And so this is just kind of an example of.
So the part we would add to this would be like the specific qualities that you're looking for in your district. So but this kind of gives you an idea of what it would look like. We're already ready to go.
All right, thank you
Awesome.
both
Thank
very
you.
much.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Okay, thank you, you too. All right, you've got about 8 minutes if you want to get into your scoring tab.
Yes.
Okay, turn your mics off.
Oh, yeah. And because
Hi. How are you?
I'm Vic Zimmerman, good to see you.
Eric.
Jim Helton.
Zubair. How are you?
Jim, Eric, bye.
Good. You as well.
Want to hand those out?
Yeah, may as well hand those out.
Good. Oh, yeah, souvenir.
Yeah, souvenir. Everything should be electronic, but.
I like paper. I like paper. I like paper. It's good, I can read it.
All right, and if anyone is watching on YouTube, we are shifting over to IASB for format. As was shared in the email, we're doing 15 minutes of presentation, 15 minutes for Q&A as the board has prepared some questions. And then if you would just make sure that the little green light on your microphone is on.
Okay. Ah, very good. Hi, everybody. Jim Helton with the Illinois Association of School Boards. I have been with the Illinois Association of School Boards for the last 10 years. For the last 2 with leadership in executive searches. Prior to that, I was a sitting superintendent, a K-12 or pre-K-12. Oh, all right. There we go. Does that work? Yep. All right. I was a superintendent of a pre-K-12 district in the metro St. Louis area of about 3,000 students, junior high principal, and for about 9 years in the downstate, and then actually taught in the I-80 corridor for 17 years. And so I had my 35 years of education kind of split in half, 17 as a teacher and coach, and 18 as a administrator, as a principal, Title I coordinator, and superintendent. Vic?
Vic Zimmerman, 35 years in education, 19 in the big chair, the last 15 in Monticello, 4 before that in St. Joe Ogden. Those are right by Champaign, Urbana, and Decatur, so in central Illinois. I've been doing searches with Jim for 4 years at IASB, and I also work for IASA as a field services director, mentoring and coaching first, second, third year soups. It's great to see you guys.
I went to high school for a while in St. Joe,
Ah,
so
there you go.
funny enough.
And Jim, we
Small town.
can make this really quick.
All right.
We were arguing about Cubs versus Sox. Tell me you're not a Cardinals fan.
Cardinals.
Thanks for coming.
St.
Now, where I
Joe
was in
St. Joe Ogden
Hawaii.
Spartans.
There we go. The maroon and light blue.
All right. Sorry.
No, all good, all good. And, apologies that Al Mulvey couldn't come tonight. He had an appointment, as well as Dr. Carmen Ayala and Tim Boss. The team that we've assigned for Palatine is purposeful. Alan has been a longtime elementary school superintendent in the Chicago area. Carmen, state school board superintendent in high diversity and large school experience. And then you also have Tim Buss, Vic Zimmerman, and myself that have also served on the IESA Board of Directors. And so we have statewide contacts with superintendents and also with school board governance. So, all right, I know this. All right, I need to speak into this. We are the market leader in Illinois. We do more than any other firm. We have over 60 years of executive search experience and 300 years of combined consultant experience in Illinois. Our network, our reputation and process allows us to attract a consistently strong pool of candidates. And then everything aligns to the foundational principles of which ISB you are part of, along whenever you do your governance piece. We're the only organization whose primary goal is to serve Illinois boards of education and Illinois public schools. whether it's our OGC, our policies, our our outlook and training, all of those pieces, we support one another within the IASB umbrella, and I believe that that's real important, and I think it also adds to our success rate whenever you take a look at the big picture of what we do in the state of Illinois. We have a national organization and an affiliation. We belong to the National Affiliation of Superintendent Searchers. This is 38 states, school board associations around the United States who do this work. It's incredibly important that we have this collaboration with them. It's all school boards. They know policy. They know best practices. They have integrity, and they also know state laws. And so if we have out-of-state applicants, it's real easy to contact these states. We have a contact in every state that belongs to this to get the background inquiry of any out-of-state applicant that we have. And the other piece of it, I think, as well, is just that integrity piece, knowing policies, knowing procedures. If somebody is a cross-state match for Palatine, which could possibly be, having that background and integrity on the backside is real important. We have a national recruiting with our professional organizations, our IASA, our IASBO group, Illinois Principals Association, and then we do a professional advancement seminar with the Superintendent's Association 3 times a year. So we'll have, I think this last spring, or this last fall in Lisle, we had 40 potential aspiring superintendents that we will, along with the IASA and the Superintendent's Association, collaborate on what it takes to have that right fit, to apply and to have that contact and mentoring piece. We also have a robust nationwide outreach. So we said the National Affiliation of Superintendent Searchers. So we are not just a state association. We work in the state of Illinois, but we do have that national outreach. We have a online application system. We switched from Frontline to Revelus. Revelus has a 17-state reach. And so if you apply and set out a profile in the Revelus application, 17 states can now access that. And we'll have that availability, out-of-state applicants to have that availability within our association, State Board Association. We also have the consortium of school boards. So the COSBA group, there's 29 states. We now have a national listing of those states. Everybody that has a school board association, we list them on that national website. And we have that national, where we used to have the AASA, or now we have this is a little bit different, or NASBA. Now we have the COSBA, and we have that national outreach. And so we still are able to get candidates nationwide. We also have an exclusive professional network of 8,000 educational leaders. Some of those current superintendents, current assistant superintendents, current principals, current school executives, if they're in human resources, HR, they belong to our network. And every time that if we would to post the position, everybody would get an email. And so all 8,000 of our folks would get an email saying Palatine is posted. When we would update it with, let's say, vacancy announcement updates or anything else with that, 10 days out from a closing. Again, everything that we would send an email out to would go at least 4 times, and for all of these 8,000 folks. And so that's our curated private network that they said that they would like to be part of what, potential superintendents of districts Now, does that mean that all 8,000 will fit Palatine? No, it does not. But we believe that there will be somebody within that group that would potentially fit your district. The timeline that we have prepared for you, within the sheet that you have, if you open that folder, there is a proposal, an executive searches proposal of the points that we say are going to be part of this search. We designated a search coordinator. Dr. Alan Mulby would be that person. We assist the board and establishes a timeline. You can see the timeline that is here. We would conduct the board, staff, and community surveys. This is an online survey that potentially it really aligns to the professional learning standards of whatever and it's a 15 question survey aligning to the professional learning standards that the board and your stakeholders would force match into what they think is most important. And then we would tally that and report into a board member meeting of what was each group's. Generally what happens is it's private, so the board would have a private survey, your staff would have a private survey, your parents, guardians would have a private survey, and then if you had stakeholders within the community that you would like to send that to, that would be a private survey. We would disaggregate that data and then report out that these are the most important pieces that your district is looking for. The other piece that we do, so that could potentially be done in December. We also have in-district focus groups and we're recommending 3 days of in-district focus groups where we will work with you identifying your stakeholders, whether it's representations from your elementary schools, your middle schools, your teachers groups. We would work with you over a 3-day period, helping schedule it, where we would meet one-on-one with small groups. And it works better when we schedule it versus having an open house and having folks come in. You've done a lot of work on your stakeholder group, or on your with your stakeholders for your strategic planning, and so they're used to this piece. It would just rely on us to get that additional information from you on who would you would like to talk to. Basically, what we would do is we would have folks in district that would meet, and it would be, potentially, what's unique about Palatine 15? What do you do well? What are your challenges? And what are your ideal traits? And so those are generally the 4 questions that we ask. And then we listen, and then we disaggregate that out to the board in an open session, open meeting, after we had done all the stakeholder work. And we would work with you to get this scheduled, to find out who you would like for us to talk to. Anything above and beyond the 3 days would be another $1,500 per day. But our proposal would include 3 days of work in district. We start at 6 o'clock in the morning and we can be done at 8 o'clock at night. I mean, it's long days. It's not a 5-hour day. And so that would be which is in our proposal. We could do this in December or in January, and then from that information we would divide. We would have a customized announcement of vacancy, and so we would gather information from the board, and so we would have just general information of the district. We submitted samples within our proposal what a announcement of vacancy would be. The bottom line is this would be posted with your post, and one of the things that now with fair wage law, whenever you post applications, you have to have the salary potential with it. And so we would do that, and that would be included within your announcement of vacancy. And so that would be part of what we do, and it would be, something to sell the district. Like I said, we submitted samples with our RFP. The other piece of it then would be, so that would be we would put that within the announcement of vacancy. Potentially, we could have the position close in March, where consultants then analyze applications. We analyze applications based on what you say you're looking for. And so if we had 3 consultants doing the reading of the applications, first off is we verify their license. We verify that they can do the position. We compare it to your ideal candidate traits. Vic would do, I would do, Al would do, or Carmen would do. We would do it individually. And then we would come together and say, all right, what is Palestine 15 looking for? And we would have a short list, let's say 10 to 12 folks that we could then do additional interviews with. And we would do a Zoom interview with those additional interviews, with those additional folks, and try to narrow it down to the top 5, top 6 for the board to then interview. Screening background. The slate of candidates would then be presented to the board in March. We do have a practice interview session. That's an optional point or an optional piece of what we do, where potentially Alan would come in, prep the board with regards to proper interview protocol. Vic could come in and interview as a candidate, and you would have that practice. That would be another $1,500 for that practice interview if the board would be interested in that. We don't have that recommended within our proposal. We would have the first round of interview in that March-April timeframe. We would come in closed session when we bring to you the candidates, go over proper training, everything that for interview protocols. We would present the candidates to you. The confidentiality is extremely important for us. Our goal is for all of our candidates to get through round 1 of interviews with boards confidential. Once you get to round 2, it's a little bit different, but round 1, those probably sitting soups would need to go back and work in the district that they're working successfully. And so we have that extremely high level of confidentiality with what we do. And then you would have a second round interview. Now within our second round, our proposal has semi-finalist stakeholder groups. Semi-finalist stakeholder groups are groups that you've chosen. We've done it heterogeneous and homogeneous. If they're homogeneous, it might be a community group. If it's heterogeneous, it's mix and matches community and staff. If you wanted to have a staff group, that's what we recommend, or and then a community group, that would be 2 specific groups. Basically, what you're doing is getting input from additional stakeholders. And the way we do it is we would monitor it. We would have one of our consultants monitoring the process. We would monitor the process, making sure questions are illegal, etc. In some instances, we have the questions turned in ahead of time. Each candidate, let's say there's 2 candidates, would have the same formatted questions that have been asked. If the individuals, your stakeholders, want to ask the questions, that's fine. If the consultants would ask the questions, that's fine. We've done it both ways. But the key is, at the end of that, they're not allowed, they don't vote, and all the way through this, we're telling them they don't vote, but they basically, on a Likert scale, rank each candidate against your ideal candidate traits. And then we take that data and present it to the board. A lot of times that's in that round 2. And so if it's in a round 2, we just did this with the district pretty recently. So board was interviewing candidate A and the stakeholders were doing candidate B. We swish and kind of did a wagon wheel approach, and in that instance, they only had 2 finalists, but in some they have 3. We're able to figure it up, so they would take that 45 minutes to an hour in round 2, and then at the end of that night, we would then compile that data and give it to the board. And this is what the stakeholders said of candidate A, candidate B. And again, we found this works really well because they're not voting on a candidate. They are voting on basically they're ranking them on how well the candidate fits your ideal candidate. Well, that makes sense.
Just a quick time
Some
check.
boards then do the site
We
visit.
have, sorry to interrupt, just a quick time check. We only
Yeah.
have about 10 minutes
Okay.
left, so
Oh.
if we could get through these next couple slides quickly, and then we
Sure
can
can.
switch over to
Yep.
questions. Thank
Sure
you.
can. Very good. The rest of that is, yep. Fee for a standard search is 10.4, with recommended search at that 17.9, like we said, that's with 3 days recommended. Our fees are somewhat, I don't want to say lesser, but they are a little bit because you already belong to ISB. We're not going to double dip you by being part of ISB and also charging you an exorbitant fee on the search side of it. And so that's why that 10,004 is a little bit lower than some of the other folks potentially because you already belong to ISB. We have a 91% within the last 3 years of our contracts, 91% of those folks have stayed in their job. We have a statement of assurance, which means that we'll stay with you till the end, and a guarantee of service, a 1-year guarantee, that if that superintendent leaves within that 1 year, we'll redo that search for free the following year. And we're not going anywhere. We're going to be with you. You see, 55 years, we've 85 different counties. We have follow-up training. We believe that this is really strong. We have a starting right workshop with the new superintendent and the new board, where you can actually have that's part of full half day. That's part of what we do. Goal setting for the future. So again, part of our entire package with ISB. Mentoring and coaching is done through the ISA. Vic can talk a little bit about that if we need to get to that point. He's a ISA, he's one of the mentors if we need to go down that road. The bottom line, we would love to work with Palatine 15 and entertain questions.
All right, thank you so much. We will switch over to board questions. Eric, do you mind taking the first one?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for coming out tonight. A lot of good information. What have you learned already about District 15, and how does that inform the way you would design and execute this search for us?
Well, your strategic plan was strong. I think that was one of the things as we took a look at that, that it was strong. Your portrait of a graduate was strong. Those pieces, as we're looking at the survey piece, is that where, instead of when we do our focus groups, is that where we then target on that to say how well, was the district, doing their students successful on? How well are they doing their facility pieces? How well are they? And so that would be one way that we can integrate it. So.
Okay.
All
right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Question for you. If you could name only one thing that truly differentiates you from other firms, what would that be?
Well, I think you're going to hear from all the firms that the bottom line is we're all trying to bring you candidates that fit best with your district. That's why we do the survey as a quantitative piece. Jim talked about the focus groups, meeting individually with small groups within your district. That gives us a qualitative piece. I think we're really strong in those two areas to get to know the district as well as we possibly can, to only bring you candidates that we feel best fit with Palatine 15. What also separates us is we do more searches than any other search firms in the entire state of Illinois.
All right, thank you.
With a high success rate.
All right, next question. What specific strategies do you use to bring forward high-performing candidates, ideally seated superintendents, who may not be actively seeking a new position?
Well, that's a tough one because we don't recruit from that standpoint. I mean, we don't headhunt. We recruit, but we don't headhunt. And so if board has interest of a candidate, we can have conversation with that candidate. But bottom line, what we try to do is to sell Palatine, CCSD 15, and if we sell the district, then we do our due diligence with advertising. We do our due diligence with having the conversations. We have that due diligence. We believe that that's very strong. And then we follow that up with our training, our policy. I mean, those pieces right there with the starting right, I think allows us to try to give strong candidates for Palatine. I mean, it's interesting that folks say, well, you don't recruit, but we do from a standpoint of we're in every school district in the state of Illinois. And by doing that positively, by doing the workshops that we do, by having the IESA, I believe, kind of, I don't want to say so much an alliance, but we work together well, that we're going to find good candidates.
We don't call ourselves headhunters because we work for the School Board Association. We work for you guys.
Yep.
You wouldn't want us to try to poach your superintendent. So I'm sure other boards that are members of ISB wouldn't want us to try to poach their superintendents. But
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Champagne Balloon.
Yep. So how do you evaluate a candidate's capacity to lead a large, complex, and highly diverse district like ours?
Well, most of that comes from your ideal candidate. I mean, so we'll do the work on the back end to define what that is and what that looks like. And you're right. I mean, each district's a little bit different. By doing that work and then having additional conversations and having exhibits of those conversations, having those, when we do pre-screening, having those additional questions of that and requiring exhibits of that success would be one way that we can do it.
we contact as many of their references as that are listed in their packet, up to the point where if they don't want us to contact their existing school district, we won't do that because of confidentiality reasons. We want to try to protect the confidentiality of the candidates, especially if we have sitting soups, like Jim said earlier, if we have sitting soups that have applied and they don't want their board to know that they're out there looking, because if they don't get the job, they got to come back and still be the superintendent of the district. So we try to do that as confidentially as we possibly can.
Talked about your success rate, but can you tell us about a search that your firm had completed that didn't go as planned, and what did you learn, and how did that shape your approach for future searches?
Well, potentially a search that we were doing, the board felt that the ideal candidate didn't include an internal candidate. And so what has happened, or what happened in that instance, was what we try to do is work with boards to identify, do you want what's your district culture? Your district culture defines how you want to treat internal candidates. And so this board changed their mind on how they wanted to treat an internal candidate. And so because of that fact, the search, I think, kind of went awry because of that. Defining that on the front side is incredibly important. There's 850 districts in the state of Illinois. There's probably 850 different ways districts want to treat internal candidates. And so we get that on the front side, on right up front. If you have internal candidates, how do you want them to be treated? Do you want them to work their way through the process? Do you want them to be part of the 6+1? Do you want them? What happened in this instance was the board changed their mind because of political pressure. And I think what we try to do is articulate that time and time again. And I think that's one, I mean, if we learn from it, I think that's one of the things we've learned from it. So, anything?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Can I ask just a really quick clarifying
Sure.
question? What changed with regard to the, what the board was going to do with internal candidates versus what they decided to do?
It was a process that what changed was they wanted the internal candidate to work their way through it, to be one of the top 6. And they changed their mind and included them when we did not include them.
Gotcha.
All right. And so that political pressure on the backside of it, and every place is a little bit different.
Thanks.
Hate to say it, but
No,
yeah.
that's great
That's
insight.
real.
True.
All right, that brings us to time. Thank you so
All right.
much for your time and
Okay.
making the trip
Yeah.
up here.
Thank you very much.
We
Thank
appreciate it.
And again, apologize that Mr. Mulvey's not here, but
No worries. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Hi, Samantha. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Hi, Samantha. Nice to meet you.
Just a little.
All right, now guess mine.
Just a little.
Hey, sorry. Yes.
I was, yeah.
I'm the new.
What a surprise. Probably. She's.
Oh, Lord.
Do we control the,
Yeah, exactly.
And then if you just make sure that the little green light is on your microphone and that you don't have to speak right into it, but that you're relatively close. And then
so
just,
it's easier this than that?
yeah, otherwise you have to hold.
Oh.
And then just
And
as
you
a
just
reminder.
push once, you don't have to push every time.
There we go. Then it just stays on.
I like it.
Yeah. And then just a reminder that we're asking for presentations to be up to 15 minutes, so then we have time for Q&A as well.
You got it.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you so much.
We're going to give you, plenty of ample time to ask us some questions. So we'll introduce ourselves again. It's nice to see three of you who we worked with 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Good
So
track record.
that is great. It's like old home. And we were just patting each other on the back on the way here saying, we're so close. I'm 15 minutes. What are you, 16 minutes?
Yes, I live in Arlington.
I'm in
nice.
Buffalo Grove, it's like sometimes we're all over the area. So this is dream come true. We love it. So Joe, you want to start? and
Sure.
do your
I'm
intro?
Joe Porto. I'm a retired superintendent. I was a superintendent for 17 years. My last 10 were in Avoca, District 37, which is in Wilmette. I've done an interim, and I've been a professor at Northern. But what I really wanted to say is I had a 33-year career. I retired in 2011, but the very first year, 1978, I got my first job here in District 15. I was a fifth grade teacher at Virginia Lake School, and the kids would come here, if I remember correctly, after their time at Virginia Lake. And my wife also started her math teaching career at Plum Grove. So this district's been very close to me and my family.
Yeah, you had that special connection. Yeah, and I'm Mark Friedman, retired superintendent. I was in Libertyville for 17 years. And after that, sort of as we all say in the superintendent business, failed retirement. Our friend Glenn Schlichting has coined that phrase, failed at retirement. And so I did 4 interim superintendent jobs in Winnetka, Niles Township High Schools, Elk Grove Village District 59, and then Joe and I did the last one together right as the pandemic was coming in Hawthorne in Vernon Hills, and helped pass the referendum with Lori's help because she lives in that district. So we have had good careers, and we turned it into this business, superintendent searches, but we've branched out even more so. And we are probably over 500, and you name it, from superintendent to principal to assistant superintendent, business manager. We do a lot of business manager placements lately. Those are very difficult to do. And so we're everywhere. We're doing it, and we really enjoy it, except when we have to travel to the other side of the Chicago area. That's why we're so happy to be here tonight. So tonight, am I getting it the right?
I think you skipped a page, but we don't need to do the questions.
Yeah, and tonight we're going to, just tell you a little bit about ourselves, introduce ourselves, which we've done, talk about our process, which we customize for District 15. We don't just do the same thing everywhere we go. And there's some specifics for District 15 that we want to highlight. And talk a little bit about our recruitment and, if there are any internal candidates and how we deal with, because it's always tricky for boards of education when you have inside candidates. And we have condensed the search timeline to make it very realistic and sort of expedite it. So those are the things we're going to walk you through. There we go. Yeah. Next one. There we go.
You better do it,
Yeah.
Lori.
Yeah.
Counterintuitive, everyone thinks you need to point it there,
Yeah.
Actually, the little
Ah,
butters there by Claire.
okay.
Ah, okay. That's the secret. That's the secret. Yeah.
You can just say next slide.
Okay, so in a customized search process that we have, are there any specific things that the board would like to see in this process? Well, we'll work through with you to do that. It's not like, okay, here's our plan, go live with it. No, we want this to be an active kind of a search that reflects your thinking and your needs as a board, as individual board members. And it works really well. We wouldn't be back here. It worked 7 years ago. We want to talk a little bit about an open versus a closed/confidential search. Today, searches are mostly done from a confidential perspective. That means we shelter the names of the candidates. We don't have mass groups of interviewees. We shrink that down. We have as little contact with the finalists as possible because it's a buyer's market. And when it's a buyer's market like it is today, we're getting 50, 60. We're finishing a search in the south suburbs. Right now, today, there are 67 applicants. A year ago, if we had 30, we were happy. So that's what's changed right now. So we're going to cater to that buyer's market. We can't just be arrogant about it and say, oh, we're District 15. We're putting our notice out and everyone's going to flock to us. We've got to work at it a little bit. We'll take nominations from you, board members, if you have any. And then, again, we'll talk about this expedited timeline. So, Joe, you want to hit on that next, the BWP
Next
piece?
slide, sure.
Whoops.
That's not in order.
There
we go.
There we go.
No,
Yeah.
one more. It says BWP and Associates at the top.
There we go. Yeah.
So we're a national firm, although we do a lot of searches. Our kind of specialty area is the Chicago suburban area, but we're a national firm. We attract candidates from all across the country. I just did a search last night, presented to a board, and 10 states were represented in the applicant pool, which we were proud of. We've done over 500 searches. There's another slide coming up. We'll show you some districts in the area. We know you guys very well, and we're really proud of our record. 99% of our placements complete their first contract. We have not had to go back and redo. We have a guarantee, haven't had to do that. Even more impressive, 95% not only get through the first contract, but go on to a second contract. And you can Google us as deeply as you'd like. You won't see any lawsuits. You won't see anything. And there isn't another firm out there that could make that claim.
Great.
These, go ahead. Mark.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, we're not going to go through every one of them. This is just a little sample of neighbors that we've done, the districts around the area. Everybody knows us. And the good part about it is, we're not here doing a sales pitch and then go away and somebody else comes in. We do the work ourselves. So we're the ones rolling up our sleeves. We will bring in, because of this district, we'll bring in a couple of our associates to help us, especially if we do groups, in community groups and groups of teachers and stuff like that. We'll bring in some additional people, all part of our organization. So you can be rest assured that those numbers here, you can double, triple, quadruple that. We know that we're, again, probably the leading group in this area as far as doing searches for these size districts.
We don't put that slide up just so that we can fill a page and make it look impressive. The key to a successful search is the match between the district and what the district needs and what the candidate brings. And we know this community. We did your last search. We live in the area. We've done searches all around you. We feel very confident that we know what the District 15 district needs, and we know exactly who to look for.
Phase one, I think the slide right before that, phase one.
There it is.
Okay, we're just going to highlight it. We're watching time. In phase one, we have several phases to this search process. We determine the type of search, the open, closed, hybrid, so on and so forth. We set the timeline. We develop a marketing plan. We work with you so you understand what's included in that. That's on the very front end. Then we move to phase two, and we do phone interviews with all those of you who are on the board. The last time, I think you remember, we called you, we interviewed you on the phone, we put together a package of information based upon the results of those conversations. Then we do focus groups, as many as you want. We generally work with the district to determine what types and the number of focus groups. So you can have a district this size, you can have 100. We do it realistically. And I'll be honest, nowadays, people don't come to those things anymore. So we rely on a survey. I know you've already started on something like that, and we factored some of that in to our timeline. So we think that's a help, that you've got a little bit of a head start on that. So that's all good.
If I could just add one
Yeah,
thing to
sure.
leadership. I do think this is one area where we stand out. The result of the interviews and the survey and the focus groups is a leadership profile. It will summarize the strengths of your district, the areas where we could do some growth, and then the specific characteristics of the superintendent that's perfect for you. And we then use that leadership profile for everything. We use it for recruitment. We use it in our vacancy notices. We use it when we craft questions and do the initial interviews. It'll be a big part of your first round and second round interviews. And we create a rubric using the leadership profile that will help you assess the candidates. So I think that's just a very important piece to mention. Mark?
Phase three is just our recruitment process. We advertise, we take nominations, but we do heavy networking. That's where we're really, really good at. And we know who's out there, who's looking, who's successful, and we need to tap them on the shoulder. That's what we did 7 years ago when we went over to Park Ridge and got them mad at us.
Lori will tell you, she was not even thinking about another job.
Yeah.
I worked as a teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, you remembered that then at that time.
She didn't even know she wanted another job.
I'm so thankful to recall that, though,
To recall that time, one of the things that was very compelling during the interview process is Mark said very specifically to me that our board was high functioning and he could sell the board. And he was like, all I've got to do is show a few videos of you
So
and
right.
we can recruit some great candidates.
So right.
And that's the number one thing candidates ask us. They don't ask us the money. They'll ask that later.
It's the board line.
First question, how's the board?
They won't forget about the board.
How's the board? Very important.
Yeah, very much important. And it was they were so mad in Park Ridge that they refused to hire us to replace Lord. But then they hired us the next go-round because they forgave us.
Well,
So-
Mark will never toot his own horn, so I'm going to do it. This is the second place where we really excel, and I think we stand out from other groups. This guy here knows every educator in the state of Illinois and in many other states. He's the best networker I've ever met. And he always remembers people too, doesn't forget a face. So when he bolds heavy networking, He means it. That's where we excel. I like to say we're not like the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. We don't just put up the vacancy notice and cross our fingers and hope they will come. We go and get you.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, buyer's market, you gotta do stuff to be out there. You can't wait for it to all land in your lap. It just doesn't happen anymore. And I don't know if it's temporary or it's permanent, but that's the way things are.
We just presented a slate in the area, and I think 4 or 5 out of the 6 candidates were not people who just applied from the vacancy notice. They were people we called and said, this is the perfect match for you. So we're proud of that.
Yeah. Phase 4, we'll move quickly so
Yeah.
you can ask us questions. We will do all the prep stuff. Those of you who were on the board last time, remember we did a workshop. We walked you through question development, prepared you for the next step of the process, which is interviewing, which ultimately is your responsibility, but we want you to have all the tools in order to make those interviews go well so that the candidates can say, hey, that's a high-functioning board, Lisa. I'll quote you, a high-functioning board, that's a board that I would like to work with. Because people giving up a solid, good job, they want to know that there's some good chance that it's going to be a good place to go to. And that's hard to convince. We've got to really work hard at that. We'll give you all the prep in order to do the interviews, and then we'll actually help at the end, helping you employ the superintendent, transition time, all those kinds of things, working with the outgoing superintendent. We're just kind of hand-holding all the way through. And I think we did that the last time around, and it worked really, really well. So we've moved up to the proposed timeline.
Let's go to the timeline.
So we can then give you question time. And we've kind of condensed the timeline so that phase 1 we talked about, we're saying that's November and December, knowing that November is a tough month. I mean, this is with so many things happening, with the conference this week, with Thanksgiving next week, and most school districts are off Monday, Tuesday. I don't know how this district's calendar works. Parent-teacher conference. So it's kind of like a lame week. So it gets back going in December. Then phase 2 and 3, December and January, you could be interviewing your candidates in January and be hiring in February. Just because you can't control, you may be done in January or want to hire in January. The thing about it is the attorneys have to exchange contract. Sometimes that takes 2 weeks. And so we don't want to overpromise on how quickly those kinds of things can happen at the end. But once you get all the other pieces out of the way, it'll do it.
And we'll
Plenty of time.
customize this if you think it's too fast, or if you want it even faster, we'll work with you, we'll make it happen. What was that one district we did in 43 days?
Harvard.
Yeah, they gave us an unbelievable timeline, and we came with 6 great candidates, and they loved it. So
Yeah.
we can make anything happen.
It can be done. You don't want to rush it though, because
No.
there's no reason. You know, Lori will be here till June 30th or whatever the Friday is, and the last June 30th. I have a feeling they will. And yeah, that'll be a celebratory day or sad day. Well, a little bit of both. But though, you know, we will give you plenty of opportunity for transition time. So don't feel rushed. And don't feel like, oh, we got to get this done because we won't get the candidates. It's not about that. It's the right match.
We'll get them.
Yeah, you don't just want anybody. Otherwise, you would regret that. We put a cost
slide.
on this. Oops, we put a cost on this of $19.9, and there's some administrative stuff. Otherwise, there's not much. If you want to do an advertising with the American Association of School Administrators, it's about $400. That's about it. There could be some out-of-state candidates that normally the district picks up their costs for travel, but that would be it. So there's no big hidden agenda, lots of little extra bills, those
No
kinds
surprises.
of things. No surprises. And then finally, that last page, why us? There's a whole bunch of reasons there. The last one, we live in the area, it's for our own interest. We have to, yeah.
I just finished this search last night and not finished.
It wasn't
Presented
here. You had to
to
drive all over.
Rockford. So, and that's the 5th time I've had to drive up there. So when I
Yeah.
was driving here, it was 15 minutes. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's all
My
good.
favorite little sandwich shop called Jerry's.
Jerry's on our,
Oh,
that's
right
by
by
his
my
house, yeah. Mhm.
We should mention the guarantee and the mentor.
Yeah, and obviously, we will guarantee the contract for the first 2 years. And if it doesn't work out for either, any reason, basically, we will redo the search. We've never had to do that, knock on wood. But yet, we want that out there. Also, any additional support, we're here for a year after you make the hire and after the new person starts that first year, we're there supporting that person. I hate to use the word mentoring that person because that's kind of an old word. We support and provide the camaraderie, the closeness, whatever it is to help that new person adjust, feel who they may interact with in the area, other superintendents. We smooth it out for them. So we're around, and that's another advantage of us being right nearby. We're available to do those kinds of things. And so that's our presentation. I know we were right on, we went a little bit over, but.
Thank you so much. All right, we will switch over to questions. Frank, you want to go first?
Get his glasses on.
Getting ready.
Number one.
You guys,
Yeah, I think you may have
I
covered.
think you might have already covered it, about as far as what makes you guys unique and how you stand out from other other search firms. I don't say design firms. Wow, that's what I used to do.
Yeah, your referendum's done, your building work's done.
But I think you guys kind of covered that quite a bit as to, it's right there on the board there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but so thanks for that answering in advance.
All right, so we can move to second question, which was, and you have extensive history here. So what have you already learned about District 15, and how does that inform the way you would design and execute this search for us?
Start.
Go ahead, if you want.
Well, your district is one of the largest elementary districts in the state, so it's obviously a little
The
more,
largest.
It's a little more complex
True enough.
than other districts. You're also incredibly diverse community. And I think those two things are going to be really important in how we advertise the search and who we look for and how that leadership profile is going to be crafted. I can't imagine this being an easy first superintendency for somebody. So we're probably going to be heavily looking for seated superintendents, although people from large districts who have roles like deputy superintendent and have had good experience working directly with boards, we've had good candidates come through that. But it's going to have to be someone who is experienced with the size and the diversity of your district.
And hands-on. I know Lori's style, and she's out and about. She's not sitting in the office all day, watching her plant grow. And there's a need. The need for somebody that has some energy that will undertake the vastness of the size of this district and the number of schools. You don't want to have a school. My daughter teaches in 211, and she said all the teachers talk about is they want to see the superintendent stop by sometime. So I met the new superintendent, and I said, you need to go over to Conan High School, and you need to go to the World Languages Department, and you need to visit them, because they haven't seen a superintendent in years. And it's truly important, and that's the kind of thing that helps guarantee some of the success the superintendent has. Little stuff like that. And so we're very sensitive to those kinds of things. We would impart on a new person to make sure they did stuff like that.
And there's vast differences. There's, your Marion Jordan area and, the upper end of affluence down to apartments and subsidized houses and then everything in between. One of the things I loved about Virginia Lake, we had that really cool neighborhood right around the school. They were on the more affluent side, but then we took in the apartments and such on Rand Road, and it was a cool mix. And I'm saying this leading to, I think we'd have to make sure too that we cast the net really wide and make sure we're looking for qualified candidates, people of color and underrepresented folks because of so much diversity in the district. We don't ever set quotas or anything like that, but we also don't just sit and hope the right people apply. So we would hope to bring you a diverse slate.
That kind of leads into the next question. We obviously know the end results work well, but what specific strategies do you use to bring forward those high-performing candidates, ideally seated superintendents, who may not be actively seeking a new position?
Well, I think first of all, you've got to be out there and interacting with those people who are in those roles in meetings, conferences, events of some kind that attract superintendents. And it's like AAA conference. We're going to be camped out and just being there and interacting with people. So yes, you can target some, you can look at some individuals and say, that person is absolutely perfect for this job. And individually take them to lunch, call them, whatever it is. People are flattered when they're approached. Hey, they feel really good when someone comes up to them and says, you'd be great for this job. It's hard for people to say, really? Do you think so? Oh, well, maybe I should put my hat in. And I said, we'll make it real easy for you. And the key is there's a crew of people that would take a look, but we have to be careful because many of them, if they don't feel their name and their position is guarded, if it's confidential, they won't risk it because they'll risk alienating their home district.
Especially
it's a
the seated
fine line to walk. Yeah, fine line to walk for a seated superintendent. So it's going out individually, talking to them, asking them to follow up on things like, take a look at this. Here's the basic information. If it relates to you, let's talk some more. You can't hit them over the head. You have to make it enticing.
The other thing is, while we might be the team, we have our whole
we have the whole crew. Yeah.
Team. When we do a search, we let everybody know, hey, we got this search. And some of our partners are high-ranking officials in associations for Black administrators, for instance, Hispanic administrators, and they have roles and participate in those. So we'll get that out to our partners as well as us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a matter of fact, should we work on this, and as I mentioned earlier, we'll bring some of our associates along, and we'll bring a Spanish-speaking associate along. And well, Brian and Lucilla both are Spanish-speaking, yeah. So we will cover that base to make sure that the major portion of your population is Spanish-speaking. So
that helps during the day in the district where we do the focus groups. The community feels very much at ease when they hear a Spanish-speaking consultant.
We have translation devices that we use in all of our
That
events.
I love those things.
So that really helps because we have 86 languages, although our largest is, you're absolutely right, is Spanish, Hispanic. We have many others, so we have these great tools that we use with our BPAC or MPAC meetings, so everyone feels as though they can hear and participate in their own language.
Okay, last question. I love that you,
But not least.
yeah. I love that you said that you're going to find the right match for us, and that's wonderful, your success rate. But we want to hear about those that you, the instances where there was not a right match. Tell us when your search didn't go as planned. What did you learn, and how's that shaped your approach for the next school district?
I could do one.
I can't think of anything but one.
Yeah. I was doing a search up in Wisconsin, big district, and we got down to 2 candidates. And the board had a history of having the finalists come back for a day in the district. And I tried desperately to talk them out of doing that, because nothing but bad things happen when you do that. Nothing but bad things can happen, and nothing good comes from it. So, not that I don't have a position on this, right? I might But anyway, they had to go and do that. So we did the day in the district. We tried our best to police it. And there were coalitions within the community that didn't like the board. And so they talked to the candidate and bashed the board, bashed the board, bashed the board. We had a candidate pull out at the end of the day. And so all of a sudden we're down to 1 candidate. And they had to make a choice. Do we just go with the other one because that's the only one left standing? Do we reopen? It was a mess. It all worked out, but that was a tough one.
Yeah, the only thing about a placed superintendent that didn't work out, we placed the superintendent in community out by DeKalb, and she got on board, and her husband was an officer in the state police, and he got a job offer. I think it was Oregon or Washington State Police, promotion, and they had to move. Either she stayed and kept her job as superintendent and he gave up the job, or he took the job and she gave up her superintendent job. So she decided she had to follow his career, and so she left high and dry in the middle of the year. And the board president called, "What do we do?" I said, "I've never had this happen before." It's a positive thing. It's not like somebody did something wrong. So we came up with a little plan. We promoted the principal, and he actually wound up staying for a long time. So it actually worked out really well. But these are things in life that sometimes you can't predict. Other than that, I've never had nothing else.
Fortunately,
Yeah.
they go pretty well.
Yeah, knock on wood, yeah.
All right.
We keep it that
Wonderful.
way. And we're not just saying that. That's the truth. We have not had.
And again, no
Yeah.
legal troubles, no lawsuits.
Don't say that.
Nobody ever
Not
came
when you
back.
overemphasize
Nobody ever
it.
came back and said we
You're
did
all
it.
witnesses. If anything ever happened.
The lawyer on the board will.
Yeah, it's a lot of, you protest too much, maybe.
There you go. There we go. All right. Well, thank you so
Exactly.
much for
We're
your
so
time
glad.
and for
Thanks. Good to
coming
see
on the
everybody.
short
Good to
trip
see-
that it was.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
This short trip, it was worth, I mean, Pardon? Yeah, I know, we're counting that.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks.
Bye. Nice to meet you.
How you doing? Perfect timing.
Good. How's everybody here doing, I think?
We're great.
We're well fed and hydrated.
Okay, good.
It'd be a lot worse.
You deserve it.
We've been here at 11 before, so.
Right, okay. Well,
Not that many times.
we appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully the community does too. All the hours you're putting in for this, particularly tonight.
Thank you.
So-
All right, we've got, just make sure that the little green light is on your microphone. You don't have to talk
Yes.
directly into it, but you just have to be close enough. And then if we could do 15 minutes presentation, then save 15 minutes for Q&A afterwards. Does that sound good?
Sure.
All right, thank you so much.
Gotcha.
You got me? All right.
All right, here we go.
Okay, as you saw on the first slide, my name is Kane Osborne, associate with HYA. My associate, Dr. Karen Sullivan. We're excited to be with you tonight, and we will try to be as concise as we possibly can to honor your time and your energy. We are going to go through the proposal, but not in as much detail. You have it in front of you, so really the focus is highlighting a few things and answering some questions. We did want to highlight this because we always have a slide that talks about the importance of this search, but I took this from your webpage because you had this listed as the #1 item that is important for the board to do here. So I think that's important for the community to remember too. And then our job is to help you do that job as well as possible and to exceed the community's expectations in the search itself and the hire. So we won't go into detail on this, but we always like to dive in and learn about the district that we're potentially working for. These are just some highlights. Some are standard, some are things that really make you stand out, right? But the biggest and most important part we think on this slide is what's at the top, and that is this is a large, complex district, and that requires a lot of particular attention. So I've been a deputy superintendent, for instance, in Naperville 203 with 16,000 students. Karen has been superintendent in Indian Prairie with 28,000 students at the time. And we have a great appreciation for what it means to have a large, complex system that covers multiple communities, multiple diverse communities, economically, socially, in multiple ways. And we believe that with that background, that is one of the things that will distinguish us from some other search firms. So why us? I will not read at any point tonight every word that's on a slide, but we do want to emphasize what's on the left real quick, and that is, despite all the data that you might have in front of you, it will be the human interactions that will be at the core of what leads to a successful decision. The interactions that we have with you to learn about what is most important, the interactions we have with the community members, and then the interactions that you have with candidates and that we have with candidates. Because ultimately, we will bring a slate to you, and we want to make sure that those human interactions result in a match. And so that's the human part of this process. The search itself, I'll only emphasize because you've heard a lot tonight, and a lot of fundamentals of the search will be the same. We like to emphasize one thing, and that is it's customizable. So you have a proposal with a lot in front of you, but at that first meeting we would have with you after you hire us, we would go through that and see what do we want to customize, and then at certain milestones along the way, we would check in and make sure, is this going the way that we need it to and want it to, and what might we need to change at any given moment. And that plays into the feedback that we constantly want to be getting from you. And then finally, we'll talk a little more about it. We are an accomplished firm, 38 years in the business, national reach. We believe in assertive recruitment, so certainly you're going to get a lot of candidates coming to you, but we don't want to leave it at that. We believe with our capabilities, we should be going out and getting good matches for you. And this is just a little more about our firm. You can see some of the other firms that might have been here tonight, but on the right is HYA for the last 3 years and how many searches we've conducted. And some statistics related to those searches and the candidates hired. One of the big pluses for us is the website that we have that has a national reach, because we don't just advertise the searches we're doing, we actually advertise all the searches. But what that does is it brings candidates from a much wider catchment in to learn about the searches that we are leading. There's a little more about the firm there, some details that might be relevant, but it's on the right. the four things I really want to focus on. We do have a national reach, probably more so than any other firm that you'll have in front of you tonight. We have a robust infrastructure, so we have full-time staff in the back office. Some firms do. Some firms only hire part-time people to work on searches as they come up. We have full-time staff working all the time. And then local knowledge, that's us, but also the networks that we've built over time. And Karen will mention this too, but we're still currently working with districts on certain projects and certain, for instance, this grant project that we partner on. So we're regularly in touch with superintendents in the field right now and hearing and understanding what they're doing and using that to our advantage in a search. And then finally, dedicated to your district. We won't have multiple searches going on at the same time in this time frame. We'll be able to dedicate ourselves to you over this time frame that you have for this search, and that will make a difference, we think, in us being able to access both you and our networks. And this is a little more about who we are. Obviously, you see Dr. Sullivan and I. Von Fay-Prasert is a third partner with us. He's an associate. And he's not here tonight. He will actually, because of the size of your district, we brought him on board to help us with a lot of the community focus and parent focus groups. He is a veteran leader, superintendent. He's also been head of school at Francis Parker downtown. And he will be a great asset to have along the way, but Dr. Sullivan and I will be your point people.
Are you going to tell them about you at all?
Oh. I guess I could, but you do have our bios in the proposal, so we're going to be careful on time. I will say quickly, I am a retired superintendent. I'm flunking retirement, but happily. I finished my career at Avoca School District in Wilmette, K-8 district, but a small one. Before that, I was superintendent at Lake Zurich, community K-12 district in Lake Zurich, Illinois, and prior to that, deputy superintendent in Naperville 203. Where Dr. Sullivan and I got to know each other just down the road. And I'm a recovering high school principal and high school English teacher way back. And I like to say that I started in high school, and all my high school friends think that's where the magic happens. And I ended my career as a K-8 superintendent and came to the belief that actually about K-3 is where the magic really happens. And I love the arc of my career, and I feel very grateful. But it's also afforded me a lot of access and insights that I wouldn't have had if I had only been in one kind of part of the sector.
And I'll say the magic actually starts at early childhood, because that's some of my background. So I believe in that K-3 part, but go all the way down to early childhood, okay?
Put the pre.
That's right. So my background, I'm Karen Sullivan, my background is a little different. I have maybe a non-traditional path to the superintendency. My background is actually in special education. I was a speech language pathologist and special educator, and ended up going over to the dark side, my special ed friends would say, into the gen ed side, where I've been a building principal, I've been assistant sup for HR, assistant sup for curriculum instruction, and finished my career as superintendent. The majority of my career was at Indian Prairie in a large district, where I, spent a good chunk of time and where I got to know Kane from the other side of town. We covered Naperville and Aurora. Very diverse school district, not unlike you here. A lot of different languages spoken, a very interesting district, which I loved, but retired from in 2020. And like Kane, I've failed miserably, but I've done some continued work on some federal grants with Kane, some work with the DuPage Regional Office of Education, and my work here with HYA. So we stayed very connected to the field, and I think that's, one of the things. We both know large districts, and we're both very connected with the Chicago market. Downstate, there probably isn't a superintendent that you couldn't name that one of us have some relationship with or know. And then when Kane talked about the national reach, if you would, and I would think that this job would attract some out-of-state applicants because of our infrastructure and the number of associates we have across the country, we can find someone who knows that person or can find people who know that, because we like to do those off the resume kinds of background checks. All right, so
Yeah,
to
you've
do
got one
this.
over
Oh,
there,
I do
too.
too. Okay, I'll use this one though. Okay. So I think we're the fourth firm that you've heard from today, so you guys should have the search process down pat, right? Because honestly, we all do similar things as part of that search process. So I'm hoping that I just highlight some of the things that I think that are maybe unique to HYA or are different for us. But I think you've probably heard all of us talk about the areas of the processes of the search, engaging your community, to find out what's important to them, what's important to you for your next leader. That recruitment piece, which we'll talk about, and Kane mentioned, we believe in active recruitment, not passive recruitment, not just passive recruitment. The selection phase, and we'll talk about some of those pieces, and then transition. So those are all, I think, similar process pieces that you've probably heard. One of the things that I think that is a differentiator for us is you will have access to a confidential board portal that we would create just for you. So board members would have 24/7 access. We would put anything and everything that we generate as part of this search there. You'd be able to access it on your laptop, on your tablet, on your phone, so that, you wouldn't have to, call someone in the middle of the night if you were dying to do something in the middle, couldn't get to sleep, and that, let me look and see, what was that timeline that we talked about? It's all there in this board portal for you. So that, I think, is something that we offer, and we would set that up right away. In this process, this is the engage process. As Kane mentioned, one of the first things we would want to do is meet with you and have a planning meeting and really go through the entire process, the timeline, ensure that we know exactly what you want, how we can customize this search for you. So we would want, and part of that process would be to interview each of you individually, and anyone else that you think we should interview individually. Different boards have different ideas about that. We would also identify which groups that you would want focus groups done, whether that's staff, whether could be some of your students, it could be, different various community groups. We will talk about that. And then if you want to just have a whole group kind of community forum, open forum for folks as well. And then you have already started a survey that's already out there. So what we would do is gather the data from all these other pieces along with, hopefully, the broad data from your survey to develop a leadership profile report, which we would present to you, which would really delineate for you what your community and what you all want to see in your next leader, what you desire, those attributes and characteristics. One of the other differentiators for us is we will also provide a data report, a data brief, which will have student achievement data and district finance kind of data, other district data, that we will include as part of that leadership profile report, because that profile report is not only for you, it's also for candidates who are coming to look at this position. So it gives them some further background information. It's also information that you all can use, perhaps, as we talk a little bit later about the interview process, for a performance task that you might want them to do as part of the interview process. Again, this just lists some of the constituents that you might want to think about in terms of pulling together focus groups, who you'd want us to go out and talk to. We can do that virtually, we can do that in person, whatever works out. We do combinations. Frankly, we've found in some cases we've gotten better attendance virtually, especially sometimes for parents, because it's easier for them to get to. I think we've lived through that time that I won't name, where we've all learned how to do some of those things. Yes, we won't say it, but we do whatever you want us to do in that respect.
Yeah, one thing I'll add is we look to work with the calendar that's already in place to identify groups that might already be meeting and leverage off of those whenever possible and appropriate. So we're not adding more to the calendar if we can avoid it. But we, of course, do that because access for your parent community is going to be key for getting the input.
Recruit phase, we've mentioned, we talked about the fact that we like to do active recruitment. Our data from HYA has shown that 75% of the superintendents that we place are people that we have actively recruited, meaning they weren't people that are out looking for a job and just applied. They were people that got tapped and said, hey, Kane, have you heard about Palatine 15? This is a great opportunity. Let me tell you about this district. You might want to consider it. So we really do work at that. We mentioned that we have this, national reach. You're without spending another dollar of advertising, you'll get national advertising with HYA. And we have this diverse network of colleagues that can help us recruit. We continually hear from colleagues about the searches that they're doing and are asked to, think of candidates to help recruit candidates for those searches, even if they're not ones that we're working on specifically. I did that today. That happened to me today. Select process. So one of the things that we will do is screen all of the candidates who come through that are qualified. We will say that are qualified. We'll conduct reference checks. We also do off the resume reference checks. Matter of fact, that's usually where we start. Because generally the people that folks put on their resume are always going to say great things about them. We want to know all the other things, if there are any other things. We will present a slate of candidates. You tell us how many you would like. We will present a slate of candidates that we recommend, but this is your search. You decide who you're going to interview and who you want to interview. We will share with you all applicants if you want us to. So that really is something that we would talk about and a decision point that you all would need to make. We will support the board and prepare you for the interview process. We use that leadership profile report. We do not have a canned set of questions that we do in screening interviews or otherwise. They're all based off what's important in a leader for your school district. So we use that leadership profile report to do our screening interviews. We would also assist you in developing questions that you might ask in an interview or give you some possibilities for you to choose from, not choose from, but try to help you with that. And we'd also always recommend some sort of performance task in the interview process, usually for a second interview, where you would ask the candidate maybe to do a presentation on a topic that maybe is really important to you so that you see them in a different light other than just a question and answer kind of thing. So that's part of it.
Just a couple other things related to that. One, we do not recommend any candidate
Right.
for hire. We don't tell you you should hire candidate X or Y. We will, if helpful, work with you on a consensus process. So when you have candidates to deliver on, we can give you process steps that can help you come to consensus in an organized, clear way, because sometimes that can get a little messy. But having been there a lot, we can help facilitate that as part of this.
And then we also mentioned, and it's in our proposal, we do and we will recommend a third-party background check that goes into something deeper than what we can do with just our own little Google searches and other candidate reference checks. It's an additional cost. It's a company that we use, but we would highly recommend that you do that at least on your finalist before you make that big decision. And then finally, one of the other differentiators, I think, for HYA is your new superintendent would be automatically signed up for our Transition Academy. We know that your superintendent will get a mentor assigned to them by the IASA. And that's at no cost to the district. So they'll have a mentor that they can call, a retired superintendent who works for IASA that will be there for those day-to-day things. This is an academy that would be for their first 6 months. They would meet with other new superintendents across the country, facilitated, and they would be focusing on these kind of key deliverables. What they should have in a 100-day plan, what kinds of things that they need, what should they be looking for, looking at different key performance indicators and what the research and the best practices are, looking at the evaluation process and how they work with their board, and looking at strategic plan alignment. I know that you'll be close to looking at re-upping your strategic plan in a year. So that would be working with them on what would be best practices in that way. So that is something that would be part of having our firm work on this search. Your superintendent be automatically enrolled in that Transition Academy.
So this is just a draft timeline. I want to emphasize draft. It's really based on what we've come to understand is where you are right now with this process. But most importantly would be at that first planning meeting, we would look at this and make sure, is this where you want to be? And we would give you our very honest input about where we think this will or will not work successfully and what might need to be revised. So you can see some things on there that are TBDs, for instance, because we would want to make sure. But nonetheless, we do believe that this is an achievable timeline with good collaboration, and you have pieces in place that we can work with. And with the three of us, we think we can tackle that capacity issue in this time frame. But we would also make sure along the way that you felt you were in control of the process and feeling informed and confident, because at some point, if enough of you are not feeling confident, we want to take a pause and make sure that we are meeting your needs as a board. And that might mean changing different parts of the timeline appropriately. And that's important, because the last thing you want to happen is to get to the end and wish you had done something different in the middle. That really undermines confidence, so it's worth it because you only get this decision so many times. And then again, just to reiterate, we do think that Karen and I particularly come to you with experience with large, complex districts. This is not a job for faint of heart, shall we say. And we want to make sure that we bring that knowledge that we have about that to this process. We are available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm not saying I want you to call me at 3 in the morning, but if for some reason that came up, I would do my best to be available. And then the other thing I would like to emphasize is it's customizable. So if you come back and say, gee, we talked about doing it this way, can we do it this way? We're going to work to make that happen. We don't get it to you, set it and forget it. So regular communication is going to be part of that. And that is our summary. We want to, hopefully we hit the 15 minutes and gave you time for questions, because it's been a long evening for you, but we want to give you what is going to be helpful for you to make a decision.
Perfect. Well, you already answered our first question on the slide right there, so we can go ahead and skip to our second, which is, what have you already learned about District 15, and how does that inform the way you would design and execute this search for us?
I would just start, it goes with what we ended with most of all, is it's not just a large district in terms of students, but you're serving different communities. And that can happen within smaller districts, but the scale that it happens here and what that means for the district office, for the board, and therefore for the relationship between the superintendent and the board is key. So to me, that really is going to frame how we look at the data that comes in, and then how we assertively recruit. Now, you'll get passive recruitment, and we'll filter that, but our assertive recruitment will be very targeted to that understanding that I just expressed.
I would say that the other thing that's really important is the engagement process, especially for the communities maybe that you don't serve as much as that community. Like I know you serve a portion of Schaumburg, correct? They're probably not the biggest district in Schaumburg. Right, I know you're not. But you want to make sure that those communities feel that they're a part of the process, that they're heard, that they're listened to. So I think we both know that from, while I had 2 major communities, we really had 5 communities where I was. So I'm very familiar with that need.
The one other thing I'd add that we didn't emphasize too much here, but is part of all of our searches, is as we sit down to find out, when we're going to be doing engagement and where, we do want to make sure that we always have access to somebody who's going to make that engagement accessible for people from different parts of your community. Linguistically, particularly, we have to make sure that we have somebody there to help with that, and that we have to promote that engagement in their home language often to get them there. I haven't checked to see if you have liaisons. Some districts do, but we would probably leverage liaisons a lot to make sure that we got full engagement.
And my assistant for multilingual she's on the ready.
Okay.
Yeah. She knows. It's covered.
That does not surprise me.
No. So the next question is, what specific strategies do you use to bring forward the high-performing candidates, ideally the seated superintendents? And I think you mentioned a little bit about maybe not ideally seated superintendents in your presentation, but who may not be actively seeking a new position.
Well, part of that is our network and knowing who those high-achieving superintendents are. And we cold call them. We call them, we see them, we'll be at a conference this weekend, and we'll say, hey, do you know about this job? We connect with our other associates like I said, saying, okay, we're, working on, District 15's position. Who do you know? This is it's a complex district, it's a large district. Who has the skills to do that? And who should we be tapping? So we really do, try to do that active recruitment. And we'll also call people that we know are not interested, but may know people who are interested, because that's the other thing that happens. So, I start a spreadsheet and we start going down and we'll put anybody down that we can think of and we'll call them and see if they know someone, because sometimes they do. And that's happened where we've.
Yeah, it's a
got
spider web
referrals.
of it. And I'd
Yeah.
say, for instance, in this case, so if there wasn't somebody sitting who's head of a large district right now, but somebody who we know in a large district, they're going to know other people in large districts often. It just tends to happen that way. And those are good people to reach out to. If they're not the right person, they're going to have a sense of who might be in another district that we might not know in first degree. But the degrees, there are very few degrees. I think the big trick is taking the time to do those direct calls, even from people who we know aren't the person for the job. Because we rely on that expertise that they have, and we have to recognize when we don't have particular expertise, but who does.
Okay, can you tell us about when you found a candidate, but that search didn't go as planned? Can you tell us what did you learn from that search, or what did you, and how have you changed your approach to working with other school districts?
Well, I think every search I've ever done is different because every board is different in what they want. So sometimes searches don't go as planned because sometimes I've had a scenario where board members changed their mind about what they wanted in the process. And so that you had to do a pivot to try to meet that need. So it wasn't exactly how we started out, but they decided they wanted something different. So you learn from every single search that you do. And I also know that it's never done until it's totally done. Because there can also be, I've had, contract issues happen where, the contract they found the candidate they loved, but they could not come to an agreement on a contract. And then you're back at, okay, is the second in line, someone that you can all get behind. So you just have to be ready for anything and everything that could possibly happen or go wrong, and just be prepared to. It's not unlike being a superintendent, right, Lori? You have to be prepared for anything and everything.
So I'll just give two quick examples. I've been part of, not leading searches. One is, and this is part of our search with you, if we go through and bring you a slate and you interview all of them and you come away unsatisfied for whatever reason, we don't say, okay, well, we're done, we'll start all over and give you a new contract. The contract's not done until we've brought you a successful slate, right? So we go and do that again, and I've seen that happen. The other thing is, our real goal is to bring you a slate of candidates, any of which we think could be successful. And so I think part of it is just thinking that way. It's hard, though, when you go through the process in the scenario you're talking about, to say that next one is. But what I wanted to bring up was, to Karen's point, is actually to plan for it. So when I worked in Skokie, it was right in the middle of a board election transition.
Yes.
And we helped the board problem solve on how to include the incoming board members appropriately and how to not include the outgoing board members, but include them appropriately. And we helped work through that process because it was going to be a potential problem if we didn't get ahead of it.
Yeah.
And so we do want to make sure when we meet with you, especially when we do these individual interviews, if we hear something that we think could be an obstacle in the road, we'll problem solve ahead of time to make sure we have some flexibility to get around it. The truth is, though, we're not done until we get you your successful candidate. So.
All right, we're at time, so thank you.
I was just working my way to
Yeah,
you.
no,
I know.
You were looking at me, but I was
Seems
looking
like-
at the clock and looking at
I'd look down to see if she was
Does that mean
leaning in
some
to
of you
ask.
feel like you've been denied, or you were granted earlier the chance?
Everything in a timely manner.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yes, making our way down.
Everyone feels special.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
and good luck
Thank
with
you.
your decision.
Thank
and your
you. Have a
choice.
great evening.
Thank you.
It's an important decision.
Yeah, I just want you to know, I don't normally wear tennis shoes for formal occasions, not that you noticed.
I didn't even notice till you pointed that out.
Hello, welcome.
Of course, anytime, anytime.
That was good. Hi, Earl.
How are you, sir? Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet All right, welcome, welcome. Have a seat.
For you.
All right.
5:30, and so we will try and
Yes.
keep this keep it tight for you. I know that we have 15 minutes, so I want to honor that time.
15 minutes for questions.
Correct.
Get
And,
settled.
and
You've got a
before
few
we
minutes.
begin, happy belated board member appreciation
Oh,
day. I know we're a few
thanks.
days late on that, but
We're celebrating the whole month here.
hey,
Oh,
you
gosh.
you gotta celebrate
Oh,
something,
gosh.
right?
Put them up in a hotel, drag them all around.
We're ready to just jump right in. I know.
Yeah, just as long as green light is
light.
on, and then you don't have to speak directly into it, but you got to be close enough that it can pick you up.
Is this close enough?
I think so.
Okay.
Can we
We're
hear?
not getting any.
Okay, they gave us the thumbs up.
Okay. Great. Great. Well, thanks for having us tonight. We're here representing School Exec Connect. I'm Dave Pelzat. We're going to get into introductions in just a second. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Angelica to start us off.
Good evening, everyone. Superintendent Dr. Hines and Board President Ms. Peter, and the rest of the Board of Education.
There you go. All good.
Okay, look green before. Okay, well, thank you for that. Well, good evening. Thank you so much for the invitation for being here tonight to present as to why we can be your partner in leading the superintendent search. It has been really exciting to learn a lot more about District 15 and everything that you guys offer. You have a pretty strong mission statement and also your values, which speak to collaboration, student engagement, community engagement, belonging, and obviously safety for your students. This is something that I really took to heart. You really spoke about the commitment to your diverse community and diverse learners. And as someone that is diverse, that really spoke to my heart. So I was really excited to learn so much about District 15. Aim high and achieve higher was something fascinating to see throughout the website. Even though I do not reside in the community, I do live about 10 minutes away, and what I know is that success is contagious. So what I know is that by having such a high-profile district such as yours, being part of the community, that really helps other districts become aware of who you are and also trying to follow suit in everything that you guys do. I was able to watch the board meetings, and something that I noticed is you always begin with student recognition and with staff recognition, and that was just impressive. You also talk every single time about all the work that you do in moving the district forward. So you had all of your administrators talk about everything that they do on a daily basis within their departments. I'm going to give a shout out to your Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, who did an amazing work with everything that she's doing with recruitment. I do human resources, and I find that very appealing every time that I listen about human resources work. So it was something incredible to see. A lot of transparency in your district. You have had some challenges in the past few months, but you have been speaking about that during your throughout your board meetings, and also just talking about everything that you have going on with the multi-year planned capital project plan that you have underway, and again everything that you do. So it has been fascinating to learn so much about District 15.
All right, we want to jump into some. Keep you in suspense here. So a little bit of introduction and who we are and what we bring to the table as we find the next leader for your district. So I'm Dr. Dave Pelzat. I am a current sitting superintendent in a high-performing school district in the western suburbs, western Cook County. I've been a superintendent in my current district for over a decade. Prior to that, I was an assistant superintendent in Wilmette School District 39. I was a principal in Wilmette School District 39 of a couple of different schools. Prior to that, was principal in Lake Forest School District and an assistant principal. I've only been an assistant principal for 1 year, and I was only an assistant superintendent for a couple of years. My tagline is, I don't really like being an assistant anything, so I want to kind of move through that somewhat quickly. Prior to my administrative career, I was a dean of students, which was teaching still on a teacher contract, and then also a middle school teacher. So recovering middle school teacher. So yeah, it's been a good path. So I'll turn it over to my colleague.
Yes, my name again is Angelica Romano, and I have been in the public schools for over 20 years, closer to 30 years actually. I was doing the math last night. And I have been leading human resources departments for the past 15 years. I am currently the Executive Director of Human Resources in Glenbrook and Northbrook for Glenbrook High School District 225. I have also served in Human Resources for the community of Cicero, Niles, Elmhurst, and West Chicago. So those are really these are communities that again I keep very close to my heart. I have enjoyed my work there. As part of my hobbies, that I would say, I am also pretty involved in different organizations. One of the organizations is the Illinois Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents. I am a past board member, but I continue to be pretty engaged and pretty involved and active in everything that they do. I am also currently serving as a board member for the Illinois Association of School Personnel Administrators, which is the human resources organization within the state of Illinois.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about some of our statistics. And again, Angelica.
Yes, so really exciting. So our success rate is about 97%, and what that means is it's not only about placing superintendents and administrators, but also about them receiving a second contract after they have completed their contract for 2-3 years, whatever the first year, the first contract. It is. We have done over 600 searches since 2004. 100 of the searches have been completed within the time frame and within the budget that has been outlined from the beginning. And you see 2 of us here, but we also work with 60 more consultants that would be able to support with this process if we are chosen.
All right. Oh, I want to advance my computer, but that isn't going to do anything. So I want to talk a little bit about our timeline. Again, we want to try and move through a relatively assertive timeline, but also give the process the time it needs in order to find the best quality candidate. So what we've done in the next few slides is talk a little bit about kind of go from very broad to more specific. So again, looking at, I know some phases numbered different portions of a process, but looking at those first 30 days to really establish the relationships, figure out that process, figure out finalize the timeline. We want to create a candidate profile, and again, looking at finding someone who is a good fit for your school district. One of the sayings that I like to throw out, and when it comes to superintendent searches, it's not a prize to be won, but a match to be made, right? And so you want to find that match that is going to be a good fit, not only for the short term, but for the long term. You want someone who's going to be around for a while. That phase C, looking to collaborate with stakeholders and develop a candidate pool for you, bring that pool forward, have the board involved in this process, and then that screening and interviewing and selecting of that final candidate. As we move through, again, while this is the typical process that we'll share with you, the process is malleable, right? It's able to be adjusted based on what works for the board, what works for your community. So again, we want to personalize that process and make sure that we hear the voices of your families, of your teachers, of your administrators, of those that are having that lived experience within your district. We're going to work to attract talent. And one of the things I think that sets us apart as consultants and as a firm is that we are in the field. We are sitting at the tables with superintendents. Access has privileges, and we have access to those candidates, right? We don't have to schedule a special lunch. We're at the table eating lunch with the people during the work, doing the work with them. So again, that attracting talent, using our network of not only the two of us, but the 60 plus consultants behind us, looking to provide mentorship to whomever comes in, provide mentorship to the board as they prepare for this process. And then obviously wanting to bring the best candidate forward. Kind of just, again, bringing that process kind of full circle, kind of breaking it down even further, start with a planning meeting. And so the key at the top are, we'll do this in consultation with the board. It's either board, joint with the consultant, or a consultant kind of job. So working with the board to plan, figure out the right level of advertising, figure out start to work on that profile, getting to know your board members and the personality of your district. A community engagement piece where we're, again, bringing constituents together, focus groups, surveys, which I know there's already a survey out, so you're already starting to collect some of that information, being able to kind of disaggregate that and boil that down to a set of qualities. Board approval, we'd want you to approve that superintendent profile, right? We want the community to know this is what we value, this is what we believe, this is what we think the next leader needs to bring forward, and making that kind of full-throated support of this is the profile and what we're looking for. And then just hitting the pavement and really working on that search piece. So networking, recruiting, doing those kind of interviews, screening interview pieces. I mean, there's only so much you can learn from a paper screening. We want to really start to get to know the candidates that are interested in the position. Oh, fixed it. We would have a board workshop where we can work on interview techniques and discuss what types of interview questions you would like to ask your candidates. Then we would have those first round interviews. We look to bring about 6 candidates, a slate of 6 candidates to the board that we feel are high quality. Any final preparations that we would need. Again, there are closed searches and open searches. We would work with you to put together a search that works best. My recommendation would be a closed search. We want to make sure that we're able to bring candidates forward and that they feel safe to come forward, right, in that respect. Again, board would have then second interviews with a narrowed down group, so that 6 generally would go to 2 or 3, and you would either in a formal or maybe an informal where it was a board dinner or something like that, have that kind of one of those final board interactions with a narrowed down slate, make your final decision, name the superintendent. We all pat ourselves on the back and look forward to continuing the great work that is happening in the district. The way we have typically worked with the board, and again, this is a process that can be adjusted, is that we would have a district contact. Generally, in our experience, that's been the either the board recording secretary or the superintendent's secretary, but then the board would identify a board contact, whether that's the board president or someone else who draws the short straw or whatever to be the contact person that would then be working with us, but then also reporting back to the board the work that is taking place. Again, just wanting to talk a little bit about how we can, I'm advancing it in the wrong place. Wanting to talk a little bit about the guarantee that we have for our success, your success, our success, and the satisfaction of the board, is that if that first slate of candidates isn't successful, we bring 6 forward and you're like, no thanks, we will identify additional candidates. We'll continue to bring candidates forward until a finalist is selected. If the superintendent resigns or is dismissed within those first 2 years, so again, that 2-year guarantee that we will run the search for no additional cost. And then we won't recruit your superintendent for the duration of his or her first 2 contracts. A little bit about the fees. Again, similar to, I'm sure, what you've seen in the past, we're very competitive when it comes to fees. Now, one of the things that I would highly recommend that the board considers is that background check for $800. I mean, it's pretty extensive. And again, we are confident that we're going to bring great candidates forward, but that peace of mind is always an important, it's worth the price of admission, so to speak. One of the things, and we talked a little bit about what sets us apart from some of our colleagues and some of the other firms. And again, I think the fact that we are in the field, that we are having these conversations with current practitioners really sets us apart. We don't have to schedule meetings with potential candidates because we're in the room doing the work with potential candidates. So speaking personally, I am the president of the IASA West Cook Division. I am a member of the Suburban School Superintendents, which is a national group, president of the West Suburban Consortium of Academic Excellence. Like, really, my MO is if you can raise your hand for something, I raise my hand. So lots of boards that I'm on, lots of leadership roles outside of kind of my paid leadership role. And Angelica similarly has an impressive resume of leadership experiences outside of her regular job. So again, won't waste your time reading through all of these. They're up there on the screen, but knowing that we're at the table doing the work with other superintendents, other administrators, I think is something that sets us apart from the competition. Again, just a few references. Thank you. A few references of some other local districts that we've worked with. Again, there isn't a slide large enough to fit and a font small enough to fit all of the searches that we've done. But again, just wanted to highlight a few that are of note. And I think we are at or under our 15 minutes, right? Under for sure.
Okay, so a couple of questions that we have for you. You definitely have answered the first one already, which is something that differentiates you from the other firm, so we can skip over that one. And I feel like, unless anyone else disagrees, I feel like what you know about D15, I think they covered it at the beginning as well. You explained a lot about our district, which is great. So moving on to the next one would be, what specific strategies do you use to bring forward high-performing candidates, ideally seated superintendents who may not be actively seeking a new position?
Yeah, I think the advantage we have is that we know the people in the field because we're doing the work with them. So we know the large district superintendents. We know the deputy superintendents that are working in districts with, 20, 30, 40,000 kids in it. And we're able to have those kind of, let me pull you aside and have a conversation and talk about this great opportunity. I think, again, there are a lot of positives that are a part of this particular role. One of those is a high-functioning board and moving into a position where you've had a high-performing superintendent. So I think there's going to be quite a bit of interest in this position. But again, our ability to pull colleagues aside and say, hey, there's an opportunity here that I think you should really consider is something that that is an advantage for us.
So piggybacking on that question, so when you look at these candidates, how do you evaluate whether or not they can lead a district such as ours? We're large, we're complex. The students run the gamut. they're highly diverse. So how can you look at each individual candidate and determine whether they meet the criteria for working here?
That's a great question. I think the pre-work that we do with the community to identify some of those qualities that the community wants to see in their next superintendent are going to help lead that process, are going to help lead that that piece, right? Knowing, looking at people's previous experiences of large districts, of complex systems, of having served in a variety of roles. While your current superintendent's nameplate says superintendent, there are many hats that she's wearing that aren't necessarily on her nameplate or on the outside of her door, so to speak. And so being able to really get to know the district, get to know what you're looking for, and then finding that match, kind of that match to be made, not a prize to be won piece to bring the right person forward. As we did review, spend some time looking at board meetings and going through your website, one of the things that we noticed is that administrators present the kind of work that they've been doing over the course of the last month at each board meeting, right? Awesome transparency. You want someone with high levels of integrity that is going to maintain that type of transparency with your community, right? And so knowing those types of things and being able to match those qualities to the right candidate is the tact we would take.
Cool, I'm up. From your perspective, what does valuable community engagement look like in your search process, particularly in a large, diverse community such as ours? And how do you drive participation?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, in these days that we have entered into Zoom meetings and, kind of video conferencing and getting everything from, a 4-inch screen, it's hard to get people to show up, right? And so really casting a wide net, offering several different opportunities for people to provide feedback. As a practitioner, using all of those different methods, right? So if face-to-face works well for you, great, let's have those face-to-face focus groups. If we need to run those via Zoom or over video conferencing, let's look at that as an option too. That may work better for families that have young kids that need childcare or are working and are going to try and do something during their lunch break. You've got to bring the opportunities to the people, to the community in the way that the community wants it. It can't be the way I want to do it. It's got to be the way the community needs it, right? I think the fact that we have not, a diverse group of consultants who can meet people where they are, and as far as speaking in their native languages, I think that's going to be helpful for us as well to get that kind of diverse feedback from your community.
Yes, and I was going to add to that, if I may, that who you have in front of you is who would be working with you. We do have partners that would be able to support us as well, but we are the ones that would be in the buildings. We are the ones that would be having those conversations with the community. And something, especially in my role as human resources, as I deal with so many compliance questions and perhaps not the most easiest conversations with terminations and things to that extent, something that I do pride myself with is being able to be relational and to be able to establish relationships. And something that I think that I'm really good at is building those relationships with our union leaderships, but also with the community that we serve. We know that your district is highly diverse, and seeing people that look like them is also a good way for them to feel comfortable, making sure that they are engaged in the conversations and that they are able to provide that feedback and support.
Okay, so I guess this is the final question. Tell us about a time where your firm completed a search and didn't go as planned. And what did you learn from that incident? And how has that shaped your approach going forward?
So I had done a search, and I'll be a bit vague with some of the details just because we don't want to share too much information regarding specific schools or organizations. It was a small school in the western suburbs. It was a therapeutic day school, and it was a religious school as well. And so the constituents that we were working with their parents, we were working with their teachers, and we were working with their school board. And all three of those groups wanted something very, very, very different. And it became very, very difficult to pinpoint the qualities of a candidate that would really work. So to the point where some of the groups were at odds, right? The board was kind of, and again, when we were talking about kind of a smaller organization, everybody knows everybody's personality, everybody knows everybody's preferences and things like that. And so you had kind of the board at odds with some of the teachers, you had some of the teachers at odds with some of the parents. And so what we did is we had each group create or nominate a representative to come together, because we needed to hit consensus on what we were looking for, right? And again, when it's hard enough to find great leaders, but when you have to find a great leader that not only has a deep knowledge of special education and students with profound needs, has worked with those types of students and falls into a certain religious category, becomes really, really, really difficult, right? So we brought this group together. We led them through a workshop regarding what, again, the qualities of the leader that they're looking for. We did kind of a fist of five, knowing full well we're not going to get all fives on everything, but we also don't want fists on everything. We're looking for threes and fours. And we were able to get them to a point where, okay, what are your non-negotiables, but what are those negotiables? And let's talk about those. And got them to a point where we were able to identify the qualities that they were looking for in candidates, and then able to bring a slate forward. I think the piece that we learned through that process was that there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach, right? You can have your typical process, but that doesn't mean that typical process is always going to work, and you may end up having to adjust and go in a different direction when it comes to creating consensus around what a particular organization is looking for in its next leader.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, can I ask about that particular
Yeah.
scenario? So what was the success rate? What became of the
So
superintendent?
we did end up finding a successful candidate. It was really tough because some of the board members had been on their board for a really long time, and they really wanted a male candidate. And again, I think we need to be open to all different types of candidates. With that said, it was really important, because it was kind of religious based, to have that faith piece. And so I said, you've got one really limiting factor to essentially not look at 50% of the candidates because of their gender. Doesn't make sense, and we really can't do that. That's not legal. So we're not going to be able to do that. And so, most of all. And so we were able to bridge that gap, and we were able to find the successful candidate, a female, to come and lead that school, and they're still there.
All right. That was our last question.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so
guys.
much.
Thank you,
We
everyone.
appreciate
Thank
you
you so much
staying
for
late as well.
Perfectly on time? Yeah. I'll take it. You hit it almost to the buzzer.
Open session and convene in closed session, please.
I move
Three
to
points.
adjourn the open session and convene a closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in an educational setting according to 5 ILCS 120/2 C1.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. giving me the thumbs up. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, fellow board members, for a long marathon evening, and of course, Dr. Hines and Clara for helping to coordinate, and our team in the back on videos. We had we just had a really great conversation. It was fortunate to be able to have a great conversation because we had so many incredible firms that shared the work that they do. Really great and thorough presentations and answers to our questions. And so we're very, very grateful that everyone submitted their proposal and took the time to prepare and attend in person today. All right. Let's go over to our last motion.
5.3.
Yep.
And then you
Which is
turn
on the very
page.
last page. So if we could move to approve the firm that we selected.
I move to approve the selection of BWP as a search firm to assist District 15 in finding the next superintendent.
Second.
All right, discussion? Okay. Can we do a roll call, please?
Yes. Amerino.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Shupai.
Aye.
Khan.
Aye.
Backman.
Aye.
Hunt.
Aye.
Ader.
Aye. All right. Thank you and congratulations to BWP. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
Beat me to it.